The smoke alarm was screaming, but I couldn't reach it without climbing onto the counter. My left hand held a spatula dripping with blackened sauce, and my right hand was trying to wipe spaghetti sauce off Lily's new school sweater. The timer on the stove read 6:47, which meant Mark had been on the phone for exactly 23 minutes. The same call he said would take 5 minutes. Mom, I can't find my reading log. Lily was yanking on my sleeve with the kind of desperation only a second grader can summon when homework is involved. It's the green one with the dinosaur sticker on it. I had it on the kitchen table this morning. Sweetheart, I haven't seen it. Did you check your backpack? I did. Twice. Miss Chen is going to be so mad. She said if we lose it one more time, we can't get a star on the chart. I turned off the burner and the smoke alarm finally went silent. The pan was beyond saving. I scraped the carbonized remains into the trash and decided we were having frozen pizza for dinner. A queen of domestic efficiency, that was me. I was so focused on the mess that I didn't hear the front door open until Eleanor's voice cut through the kitchen. Smells like someone forgot to watch the stove. She was standing in the doorway with 2 oversized suitcases, and that particular expression she wore whenever she found evidence of my inadequacy. Her silver hair was perfectly curled, her blouse was wrinkle-free, and her shoes were the kind of sensible but polished loafers that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Eleanor. I wiped my hands on my jeans and tried to smile. You're early. We thought you weren't getting in until tomorrow. I changed my flight when Mark told me he was having a rough week. She set down her bags and surveyed my kitchen like an inspector evaluating a condemned property. The house looks just like the pictures on the listing site. Very open concept. Though I see it's still a work in progress. Lily had abandoned her reading log crisis and was staring at her grandmother with the cautious interest of a child meeting a zoo animal. Grandma, you're staying for a whole month. That's right, sweetheart. Eleanor's voice softened by approximately 2 degrees. Your mother and I are going to get this household running like clockwork. Starting with that pile of laundry I saw in the hallway. I felt my jaw tighten. I was getting to that. There's no shame in needing help, dear. That's what family is for. She breezed past me and started opening my cabinets, peering at their contents with clinical detachment. Where do you keep your good pots? The stainless steel ones, not these non-stick things with the scratched bottoms. We don't have good pots. We have these pots. They work fine. Before she could respond, Mark appeared at the kitchen entrance. He was still holding his phone, and his face had that pinched, guarded look that had become more frequent over the past few months. The look that told me whatever he'd been discussing wasn't over. Just pause. Mom. You're here. I thought you were flying in Friday. Surprise. She kissed him on the cheek. You sound stressed. Are you eating properly? You look thin. I'm fine, Mom. We're fine. He said it to her, but he was looking at me. His eyes flicked to the trash can, where the ruined dinner was visible. Smells like something burned. Just a minor mishap. I'm getting pizza. I grabbed my phone from the counter. Eleanor, do you have any dietary restrictions I should know about? I don't eat processed food. But don't trouble yourself on my account. I'll make myself a salad. I saw some greens in the refrigerator, though they're looking a little wilted. This was my life now. I was 32 years old. I had a master's degree in business administration. I managed a team of 6 people at Caldwell Logistics. And I was being judged for the state of my lettuce by a woman who considered microwaves to be a symbol of moral decay. Mark followed me to the living room while Eleanor started organizing my spice rack. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was coming early. She said she wanted to surprise us. She certainly succeeded. I pulled up the pizza delivery app on my phone. What was that phone call about? You said 5 minutes. Just work stuff. Nothing important. He shoved his hands in his pockets. We can talk about it later. Mark, your mother is here for a month. We need to get on the same page. What's going on with your job? Nothing. I told you. Just a busy week. He kissed my forehead, the kind of quick, dismissive kiss that meant the conversation was over. I'm going to go get Lily's stuff ready for tomorrow. You order whatever you want. He disappeared down the hall, and I stood in the middle of my own living room feeling like a guest in someone else's life. My phone buzzed in my hand, and I looked down at the screen. Arthur. My stomach did a little flip. Not the good kind. Arthur and I had been working on the Henderson project for 8 months. It was supposed to be the capstone of my career at this company. The project that would get me the promotion to senior director, the one Diane had been dangling in front of me like a carrot on a stick. "Hey, Arthur. What's up, Kate?" His voice was wrong. Too high, too tight. "You need to come into the office. It's almost 7. What's going on I can't explain over the phone. Just, is there any way you can come in? Diane is still here. She's been in her office all afternoon with the legal team. Something is happening." Something like what, Arthur? You're scaring me. There was a long pause on the other end. I could hear him breathing, that shallow, panicked breathing of someone trying to figure out how to deliver bad news. The Henderson project. Diane sent the final deliverables to the client today. Your name isn't on anything. Not the report, not the presentation, not the data analysis. It's just my name and hers. I didn't understand what he was saying. It felt like he was speaking a foreign language. What do you mean, my name isn't on it? I did 70% of the work. I built the entire forecasting model from scratch. I was the one who got Henderson to sign in the first place. She told the client you were just an assistant. A support role. She said I was the lead analyst and she was the project director. Kate, I'm sorry. I tried to tell her, I heard my own voice rising. You tried. You're the senior associate, Arthur. You're my partner on this. You just let her. Kate, listen to me. It's not just the credit. Diane is telling everyone that you're the reason for the delay. She said the forecasting model had errors that she and I had to fix at the last minute. She's blaming you for everything. I think she's planning to let you go. The living room tilted. I grabbed the back of the couch to steady myself. That's insane. The forecast was perfect. You reviewed it yourself. You said it was the cleanest work you'd ever seen. I know, but I can't fight her. She's got the ear of everyone in senior management. If I contradict her, I'm done too. His voice cracked. I have 2 kids, Kate. I can't afford to lose this job. You could have warned me. You could have told me before she sent that report. I could have stopped her. I could have gone to HR. She went to HR first. That's what I'm trying to tell you. She filed a complaint this afternoon. She said you were insubordinate and that the quality of your work has been deteriorating for months. It's all documented. Fake emails, fake performance reviews. She's been building this case against you since January. That was when I'd gotten the glowing performance review from Diane herself. When she'd sat me down and told me I was on the fast track to promotion. When she'd shaken my hand and told me how much she valued my contributions. My phone buzzed again. A text message. Kate, pick up. It was from Rachel, the administrative assistant who worked on the same floor as me. I didn't have the capacity to respond. I have to go, Arthur. I have to think. Kate, wait. There's something else. I don't want to hear anything else. You need to hear this. Diane isn't just getting rid of you because of the project. She's been talking to people at Summit Logistics. She's trying to land a VP role there, and she's been using our proprietary client data as part of her pitch. She's been selling our trade secrets to them for months. The Henderson project was just a test run. She wanted to see if anyone would notice if she took credit for someone else's work. I felt cold. Not cold like the temperature had dropped, but cold like my blood had turned to ice water. Are you saying she's been stealing company data? I'm saying I found emails. When she asked me to do a system backup last week, I saw things I wasn't supposed to see. She's been sending client lists, pricing models, strategic plans to an outside email address. I think it's one of Summit's executives. I don't have proof it's her, but it's her email account. You need to go to HR. You need to report this. I can't. She knows I saw something. She threatened me this afternoon after the Henderson meeting. She said if I said anything, she'd make sure I never worked in this industry again. She's got connections everywhere. The front door opened and Lily came running in with Mark right behind her. Mom, Grandma found my reading log. It was under the couch the whole time. She said I need to keep better track of my things. I forced a smile. That was nice of her. She also said you need to buy a filing cabinet for my school papers because our kitchen table looks like a disaster zone. She giggled, completely oblivious to the fact that her grandmother was systematically dismantling my household from the inside. Mark took Lily to wash up, and I wandered back into the kitchen. Eleanor was at the stove now, resurrecting the burned pan with a combination of baking soda and elbow grease. She didn't turn around when I entered. I found some chicken breasts in the freezer. I'm defrosting them for tomorrow night. You should plan your meals in advance. It saves money and reduces food waste. Eleanor, I need to ask you something. She turned off the faucet and faced me. What is it? When you said Mark was having a rough week, what did you mean? He hasn't been telling me anything. He just says it's work. She dried her hands on a towel and set it down with precise movements. My son is a private person. He doesn't like to burden people with his problems. I'm his wife. I'm not people. She studied me for a long moment. Her eyes were the same shade of blue as Mark's, but where his were warm, hers were the color of winter sky. He's been paying a lawyer. Did you know that? My mouth went dry. What kind of lawyer? A business lawyer. He told me it was for some paperwork, but I saw a bill on his desk when I was helping him pack for the move. It was for $10,000. He said it was just a retainer. $10,000, Kate, I don't know what's going on. But he's been short with me on the phone, and he's been short with you. And I may be an interfering mother-in-law, but I'm not stupid. Something is wrong. She said it without judgment for once. Just simple, plain fact. And in that moment, I realized I had been so focused on the fact that she was in my house criticizing my cooking and my laundry that I hadn't stopped to wonder why she'd come early at all. She wasn't here to judge me. She was here because she was worried about her son. Mark came back into the kitchen. Pizza should be here in 20 minutes. Lily wants pepperoni. Mark. I took a breath. We need to talk. Can it wait? I need to check on the baby monitor. I think Tom is waking up. It can't wait. Eleanor stepped back, giving us a sliver of privacy. Mark's face shifted, the mask sliding into place. Kate, I'm really tired. Can we just have a quiet night? And no, we can't. I held up my phone. That was Arthur on the phone. The colleague I've been working with for 8 months. Diane, my boss, just took all the credit for our project and told the client I was an assistant. She's filing a complaint against me. She's trying to get me fired. He blinked, and for a moment, the mask slipped. That's insane. You've been working on that project nonstop. I've seen how late you stay up. I've seen the emails. I know. And there's more. Arthur thinks Diane has been stealing company secrets and selling them to a competitor. But he's too scared to report her. And I'm standing in my kitchen being told I'm going to lose my job and I don't know what to do. My phone buzzed again. Rachel. This time I answered. Kate, oh my God, where are you? It's everywhere. Diane just sent an email to the entire department saying she's appointed Arthur as the new lead on the Henderson project going forward. She didn't mention you at all. It's like you don't even exist. Rachel, I'm at home. I have my family here. Listen to me. She's been setting you up for months. I've been her assistant for 3 years. I know how she works. She's been making a paper trail since January. Fake meeting notes, fake email chains, fake performance evaluations. You never had a chance. What do? I don't know. But you need to get in here tonight and copy any files you have access to. Anything that proves you did the work. She's going to have your access revoked by tomorrow morning. I guarantee it. Mark was watching me with a pale face. Eleanor had gone still in the corner of the kitchen. Somewhere upstairs, I heard Lily calling for her father. The pizza delivery driver knocked on the front door. And I just stood there, in the middle of my own kitchen, holding a smoking pan that I'd ruined and a phone that was buzzing with the news that my career was burning down around me. The smoke alarm had stopped screaming, but in my head, it was still ringing. The lobby of Caldwell Logistics smelled like fresh coffee and expensive perfume, the same as it always did. But this morning, everything felt different. The security guard at the front desk, who usually waved me through with a cheerful good morning, looked at his computer screen for an extra beat before letting me pass. The elevator ride was silent except for the hum of the machinery and the pounding of my own heart. I had barely slept. After the pizza arrived and the children were put to bed, Mark and I had sat at the kitchen table while Eleanor retreated to the guest room. He had listened to me explain the situation, his face growing more drawn with every word. But when I asked him about the lawyer and the $10,000, he had just shaken his head and said it wasn't the right time. He promised we would talk about it soon. Then he went to bed and left me alone with my thoughts. Now I was walking into the office with the same laptop bag I always carried, the same travel mug of tea I always brought, but I felt like a stranger in my own skin. Rachel was waiting for me at the entrance to our floor, her eyes wide and nervous. "Kate, thank God. I was so worried you wouldn't come." I came. What do you know, she pulled me into the supply closet and shut the door. It was cramped and smelled like toner and dust. "Diane got here at 6 this morning. She had IT change your password at 6:15. I only know because I heard her on the phone with them. My password is changed, everything is changed. Your email, your access to the shared drive, your login for the project management software. She's locked you out of everything." I leaned against a shelf of printer paper and closed my eyes. 8 years at this company. 8 years of building relationships, of learning the systems, of knowing where every file was stored and how to find every piece of information. And in one morning, it was all gone. "Did you get the files I asked for?" Rachel bit her lip. I tried. I really did. But Diane must have guessed someone would help you. She put a monitor on the system last night. Any unusual file access gets flagged. I couldn't risk it. So I have nothing, I have this. She pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket. It was a printout of an email chain. This was from 3 months ago. Diane sent you an email asking you to make changes to the Henderson forecast. You responded with a detailed explanation of why the model was already optimized. She wrote back and said she trusted your judgment and to proceed with your version. I printed it before she deleted it from the server. I unfolded the paper and read the exchange. It wasn't conclusive. Diane had said she trusted my judgment, but she hadn't explicitly approved the final model. It was the kind of email that could be interpreted either way. But it was something. "Thank you, Rachel. This means a lot. Don't thank me yet. I have to get back to my desk before she notices I'm gone." "Be careful, Kate. She's in a mood this morning." I heard her yelling at someone from accounting. I left the supply closet and walked to my desk. It was near the window, the one I had fought for when we moved to this floor 3 years ago. The morning sun was streaming in, lighting up the small framed photo of Lily and Tom that I kept on my desk. Someone had turned my computer monitor off, and when I reached for my keyboard, it was gone. Looking for this, I turned around. Arthur was standing behind me, holding my keyboard in his hands. He had the decency to look ashamed, but he was holding it like it was evidence. "Arthur, what are you doing with my things? HR asked me to collect your personal effects. They're having me set up in your office space." He gestured vaguely toward the glass-walled office that used to be mine. I didn't want to. I told them it was wrong. "So you're just doing it anyway," he lowered his voice. "Kate, you have to understand. I have a family. I have a mortgage. I can't afford to fight this fight. Diane is offering me a promotion. A real one. She's giving me your team. She's giving you my team because she stole my work." I know she did. But what am I supposed to do? Go to HR and tell them I helped her because I did help her, Kate. When she asked me to backdate those performance reviews, I did it. When she asked me to say you'd been slacking off, I said it. I was a coward and I'm sorry. You lied to HR, you helped her build a case against me. He looked at the floor. She told me it was just a formality. She said she was restructuring the department and you were going to get a better position in another division. She said you'd never even see the reviews. Arthur, I have read every single piece of paperwork that came out of this department for the last 8 years. I know how performance reviews work. You knew what you were doing. Look, you can hate me. That's fine. But you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. He stepped closer. Diane is meeting with the Henderson client this afternoon. She's going to present your forecasting model as her own work. The same model you built from scratch. If she pulls that off, there's nothing you can do. She'll have the client's validation, and you'll be the one with a bad performance review and no proof. What do you want me to do? I want you to walk away. I want you to take the settlement they're going to offer you and leave. You'll get a package, maybe 6 months of severance. Enough time to find something new. 6 months of severance for 8 years of work, that's not even close to fair. Fair doesn't matter. Fair is not part of the equation anymore. You have 2 kids. You have a mortgage. You can't afford a legal fight with a company that has 20 lawyers on retainer. I looked past him, through the glass walls, to the executive offices on the other side of the floor. Diane's office. The blinds were partially drawn, but I could see her silhouette through the slats. She was on the phone, smiling, nodding, completely unconcerned. Arthur, I'm not walking away. I'm not going to let her destroy my career. He sighed, a long, exhausted sound. Then I can't help you. I have to do what's best for me. He walked away, taking my keyboard with him. I watched him settle into my old office, watched him set up his things on my old desk. My team members, the 6 people I had trained and mentored and celebrated with, started arriving. They glanced at me, then quickly looked away. No one said hello. No one made eye contact. Diane's door opened, and she walked out. She was wearing a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, her hair perfectly coiffed, her smile professionally pleasant. She walked directly toward me. Kate. I was hoping I'd catch you. She stood so close that I could smell her perfume, something floral and expensive. We need to have a conversation. About what? About your future with the company. She gestured toward the conference room. Shall we? I followed her into the glass room and sat down at the long table. She closed the door and took the seat across from me. For a moment, she just looked at me, her expression unreadable. I won't waste your time with small talk, she said. The Henderson project is being restructured. We're making some strategic changes, and your role is being phased out. Phased out, Diane. I built that project from the ground up. I have emails, documentation, time-stamped files that prove I did the work. She smiled. Do you? Because I've reviewed your files, and I haven't seen any evidence of that. What I have seen is a series of performance reviews that indicate a pattern of declining work quality and insubordination. HR has reviewed the file, and they agree that a termination is warranted. Termination? You're not even giving me a chance to respond. You are responding. Right now. But I think we both know that this conversation is going to end the same way. She slid a piece of paper across the table. This is a separation agreement. You'll receive 3 months of severance pay, plus benefits through the end of the year. All you have to do is sign it. I looked at the paper. 3 months. Arthur had said 6, but Diane was offering 3. I pushed it back across the table. I'm not signing anything. Her smile flickered. Kate, I'm trying to make this easy for you. Don't make it hard. You're trying to protect yourself. I know what you've been doing. I know about the client data you've been sending to Summit Logistics. The smile vanished. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I've seen the emails. I know about the pricing models and the strategic plans. I know you've been building a case for a VP role over there for months. She stood up, her hands flat on the table. You are making a very serious accusation. Do you have any proof? Not yet. But I'll find it. Will you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you have a stack of bad performance reviews and a file full of complaints from your colleagues. It looks like you're a disgruntled employee who's making wild accusations because she can't accept that she's not as good as she thinks she is. We stared at each other across the table. I felt my hands trembling, but I kept my voice steady. I'm going to find that proof, Diane. And when I do, everyone is going to know what you've done. She laughed, a short, sharp sound. You go ahead and try. But while you're digging through old emails, I'll be at the Henderson client meeting. I'll be presenting your work as my own. And they'll love it. Because it's excellent work. You did a good job, Kate. Too bad it's not going to do you any good. She walked out of the conference room and left me sitting there, staring at the separation agreement. 3 months of severance. The offer was insulting, but it was also real. If I refused to sign, I would be fired with nothing. And with Mark's secrets and Eleanor's presence and the children's school fees, nothing was not an option. I called Mark from the conference room. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hey, how's it going? Not good. She's trying to give me 3 months of severance and a bad reference. She's locked me out of my computer and taken my team away. I have nothing. 3 months, he paused. That's better than nothing. I can't take it, Mark. She stole my work. She's lying about me. I know. But we need the money. We have bills to pay. What about your lawyer? What about the $10,000 you said we'd talk about it? I said soon. Not today. Mark, I need to know what's going on. I can't fight this battle alone while you're keeping secrets from me. He was quiet for a long moment. I could hear Lily in the background, asking him something about her breakfast. Kate, I'm not keeping secrets from you. I'm protecting you. There are things you don't need to worry about. I'm already worrying about everything. Tell me the truth. He sighed. The business partner I mentioned. His name is Daniel. We went into a partnership 5 years ago on a real estate deal. It went bad. He's suing me for breach of contract. He's asking for $100,000. $100,000, Mark. We don't have that kind of money. I know we don't. That's why I've been paying the lawyer. I'm trying to settle it for less. But he won't budge. He wants to take me to court. Does your mother know about this? She knows I'm in trouble. She doesn't know the details. She came here to help me. That's why she's being so present. Present. That was a generous way to describe Eleanor's takeover of my home. I thought about her organizing my spices and judging my lettuce and telling Lily to keep better track of her things. She wasn't trying to replace me. She was trying to take care of her son. Kate, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I was trying to fix it on my own. We're supposed to fix things together. I know. And I'm going to start doing that. Starting now. I'll tell you everything tonight. The whole story. I promise. Promise me now. I can't keep going like this. I promise. His voice was quiet, but certain. We'll get through this. We always do. I ended the call and sat in the empty conference room, staring at the separation agreement. Diane had left it on the table like a trap. She wanted me to sign it. She wanted me to disappear. I folded the paper and put it in my bag. I wasn't going to sign it today. But I wasn't going to sign it ever. I was going to find that proof. I was going to expose her. And I was going to save my career. When I walked back out onto the floor, Arthur was in my office on a conference call. He saw me through the glass and waved, a nervous, awkward gesture. I didn't wave back. I walked to the supply closet where Rachel was waiting. She handed me a stack of papers. What's this? Old training materials. But look at the bottom of the page. I turned the paper over. On the back, written in pencil, was a series of login credentials. Rachel, this is for the server backup system. I don't have access to that. Neither does Diane. Nobody does except IT. But if you can log in, you can access the archive. Every file that's ever been saved to the system is in there, including the deleted ones. How did you get this? I told the IT guy you needed to recover some personal files for your exit interview. He gave me a temporary code. It's only good for the next 2 hours. You need to use it now. I looked at the paper. This was my chance. My only chance. Thank you, Rachel. I mean it. Just find what you need and get out. And Kate, be careful. I didn't go straight home after work. I couldn't. The thought of walking into my kitchen, of seeing Eleanor's pointed looks and Mark's evasive eyes, of pretending that everything was fine while my career collapsed around me, was too much to bear. Instead, I drove to the park near Lily's school and sat on a bench, watching the evening light filter through the trees. The temporary login credentials Rachel had given me were useless. By the time I'd found a quiet corner of the office to try them, the IT department had already changed the system access codes. Someone had tipped them off. I suspected Arthur, though I couldn't prove it. He had been hovering near the server room all afternoon, watching me with that same guilty, nervous expression. So I had nothing. No proof of Diane's theft. No proof of her dealings with Summit Logistics. Just a stack of memories and a growing sense of despair. My phone buzzed. Mark. I let it go to voicemail. Then it buzzed again. Eleanor. I ignored that too. I wasn't ready to go home and face the questions, the concern, the judgment. I needed a moment to breathe. But the moment stretched into an hour, and the sky grew dark, and I knew I couldn't hide forever. I drove home with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles went white. The house was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet. The kitchen was spotless, the counters wiped down, the dishes put away. Eleanor had been busy. A note was propped against the coffee maker. Dinner is in the refrigerator. Kids are in bed. Mark is in the garage. I opened the refrigerator and found a plate of lasagna, covered in foil. The smell made my stomach turn. I closed the door and walked to the garage door, my footsteps echoing in the silent house. Mark was sitting on an overturned bucket, his head in his hands. The garage was a disaster zone, boxes everywhere, old furniture, the detritus of a move we'd never fully finished unpacking. He didn't look up when I opened the door. Kate. You're home. I'm home. I sat down on a stack of boxes across from him. You said we'd talk tonight. So talk. He lifted his head. His eyes were red-rimmed, his face drawn and pale. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in weeks. Daniel. He was my best friend in college. We stayed close after graduation, talked all the time. When I got the idea to invest in that commercial property, he was the first person I called. He said he'd match my investment. 50-50. And he did for a while. We bought the building, renovated it, started leasing to tenants. It was going well. Really well. Then the economy shifted, 2 of our biggest tenants defaulted, and we couldn't make the mortgage payments. We had to sell at a loss. How much of a loss? About $200,000 total. My share was $100,000. His share was $100,000. But Daniel had taken out a personal loan to cover his investment. He couldn't repay it. The bank came after him. And he's blaming you. He's saying I misrepresented the risks. He's saying I promised him a guaranteed return and then mismanaged the property. He's suing me for the full amount of his losses, plus legal fees. I stared at him. Mark, that's not fair. You both went into this together. He knew the risks. I know. But he's desperate. He's facing bankruptcy. He's losing his house. He's trying to save himself, and he's willing to drag me down to do it. And the lawyer, the $10,000, I hired him to negotiate a settlement. He said we could settle for $50,000. Half of what Daniel is asking. But Daniel won't take it. He wants to go to court. He wants to make an example of me. An example of you. What does that even mean? Mark looked away. I made a mistake, Kate. A stupid, arrogant mistake. I pushed Daniel into the deal. I told him it was a sure thing. I convinced him to take that loan. I thought I was being smart, being a good friend, making us both rich. But I was just being careless. And now he's paying the price, and so am I. I sat there in the dim light of the garage, surrounded by boxes of our life that we'd never fully unpacked. The weight of it all pressed down on me, the money, the secrets, the lies. We can't afford $50,000, Mark. We can barely afford the mortgage on this house. I know. That's why I've been hiding it. I was trying to find a way out. A way to fix it without scaring you. You didn't find a way out. You just made it worse. He looked at me then, really looked at me. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream and cry and tell him how badly he'd betrayed my trust. But I was too tired. Too tired to fight, too tired to argue, too tired to do anything but sit there in the cold garage and feel the walls close in around me. We need to sell the house, I said. It's the only way. Sell the house, Kate. We just bought it. We've only been here 6 months. Then we'll take a loss. But we'll have the equity. We'll have enough to pay off Daniel and still have something left. We can rent for a while. Find something smaller. That would mean moving the kids again. Tom just started preschool. Lily just made friends. I know. But I don't have a job anymore. At least not for much longer. And if I don't find proof of what Diane did, I won't have any income at all. We can't afford this house. We can't afford the payments. He stood up, pacing the length of the garage. This is my fault. All of it. The deal with Daniel, the hiding, all of it. I was trying to protect you, but I just made everything worse. Mark, I'm not blaming you. I'm just trying to figure out how we survive this. We can't sell the house. Not yet. Give me a few weeks. Let me try one more time to negotiate with Daniel. Negotiate with what we don't have any money. I don't have any income. I'll find something. I'll pick up extra shifts. I'll ask for a raise. I'll do whatever it takes. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that we could find a way out of this mess, that we could hold on to the life we'd worked so hard to build. But the truth was staring me in the face. We were drowning, and we didn't have a life raft. I stood up and walked back into the house. Eleanor was in the living room, pretending to read a book. She looked up when I entered. Everything okay? No. Nothing is okay. I sat down on the couch across from her. Eleanor, you knew about Mark's lawsuit. You knew about the money. She set down her book. I knew he was in trouble. I didn't know the details. Did you know he was paying a lawyer? Did you know he was hiding it from me? She was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. I saw the bills. I asked him about them. He told me it was under control. It's not under control. We might lose the house. She looked around the living room, at the furniture we'd bought on credit, the curtains I'd sewn myself, the paintings we'd picked out at flea markets. I've lost a house before. When Mark was 10 years old. His father lost his job and we couldn't make the payments. We had to move in with my parents for a year. Mark never told me that. Of course he didn't. He doesn't like to talk about it. It was a hard time. His father never really recovered from it. He was always a little broken after that. And you, how did you recover? She looked at me, her expression softer than I'd ever seen it. I didn't. Not really. I just kept going. Because I had a child to raise. I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. I thought about what she'd said, about the woman who'd been through the same thing I was going through now. The woman who had lost her home and rebuilt her life from scratch. Eleanor, I don't know if I can do this. Yes, you can. You're stronger than you think. You have to be. What if Mark can't? She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. But you can save yourself. I sat there in my living room, surrounded by the life I'd built, and I realized that Eleanor was right. I couldn't save Mark from his mistakes. I couldn't save my career from Diane's betrayal. But I could save myself. I could find a way to survive. The next morning, I went back to the office. Not to my desk, that wasn't mine anymore, but to the parking lot. Rachel had texted me the night before, saying she'd found something. She was waiting for me near the back entrance, her face pale and anxious. I found proof, she said. About Summit Logistics. I found an email chain from Diane's personal account. She must have forwarded it to the company server by mistake. It's clear. She's been sending them internal documents for months. Where is it? On a backup drive. I copied it last night. But Kate, she's already filed the termination paperwork with HR. They're going to process it today. You don't have much time. I took the drive from her. Thank you, Rachel. I won't forget this. Just make sure you use it. Don't let her win. I drove straight to the offices of the law firm I'd found in the phone book that morning. I didn't have an appointment. I didn't have a referral. I just walked in and told the receptionist I needed to talk to a lawyer about wrongful termination and corporate theft. 3 hours later, I walked out with a consultation scheduled for the next day. I had a case. I had evidence. And I had a chance. I called Mark from the parking lot. I found a lawyer, I said. I have proof of what Diane did. We're going to fight this. Kate, that's going to cost money. We don't have any. We'll find a way. We always find a way. He was quiet on the other end. Then he said, I sold my car today. The sporty one. I got $10,000 for it. Mark, you loved that car. I loved you more. I needed to do something to help. I sat in my car, staring at the dashboard, and felt something shift inside me. We were a long way from being okay. The lawsuit, the house, the job, the secrets, everything was still a mess. But we were fighting. Together. Come home, I said. Let's figure this out together. I'll be there in an hour. I started the car and drove home. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the road. I didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. I didn't know if I was going to win the fight with Diane, or if I was going to lose everything. But for the first time in days, I felt like I had a direction. When I walked through the front door, Eleanor was in the kitchen with Lily, teaching her how to peel potatoes. Tom was in his high chair, banging a spoon against the tray. The smell of roasting chicken filled the air. I made dinner, Eleanor said. I figured we could all eat together. Thank you, I said. For everything. She looked at me, a long, steady look. You're going to be fine, Kate. You have the strength for this. I don't always feel like I do. That's okay. You don't have to feel it to have it. You just have to keep going. I sat down at the table with my family. Mark came home an hour later, tired but relieved. We ate together, talking about normal things, Lily's school project, Tom's new word, the weekend plans we'd had to cancel. After dinner, Mark and I sat in the backyard, looking at the stars. I'm sorry I kept secrets, he said. I'm sorry I didn't see the signs. We were quiet for a long time. Then he reached over and took my hand. We're going to get through this, he said. I promise. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that we could survive the house, the lawsuit, the job, the betrayal. And maybe we could. Maybe we would. But as I sat there in the darkness, holding my husband's hand, I felt a small flicker of hope. Not because I knew everything would be okay, but because I knew that I could be okay, even if everything else fell apart. The next morning, I woke up early and made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the separation agreement that Diane had given me. I picked up a pen and started to write a counteroffer. Not for 3 months. Not for 6 months. For a full year's salary, plus legal fees. I was done being a victim. It was time to fight back. The lawyer's office was on the 15th floor of a building downtown, the kind of place with marble floors and a receptionist who spoke in hushed tones. I had worn my best suit, the navy one that I saved for client presentations, and I had practiced my story in the mirror until I could tell it without my voice shaking. Her name was Chen. She was in her late 40s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense manner that put me at ease. She reviewed the evidence I had brought, the email chain Rachel had printed, the timeline of events, the notes I had kept on every meeting and every conversation with Diane. This is solid work, she said, setting down the papers. But it's not enough. You have evidence of one incident, one email exchange. Diane's lawyers will argue that it's a misunderstanding, that you're interpreting the exchange incorrectly. We need more. I have a source who says Diane has been sending proprietary information to a competitor. Summit Logistics. I don't have direct proof, but I know it's happening. Patricia leaned back in her chair. A source. Someone inside the company, an administrative assistant. She's been with the company for 3 years. She's seen emails on Diane's computer that she wasn't supposed to see. She's willing to testify. I don't know. She's scared. Diane has a lot of power at Caldwell Logistics. She could make Rachel's life very difficult. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Let me be direct with you. This is going to be expensive. Discovery alone will cost tens of thousands of dollars. A trial could cost hundreds of thousands. Even if we win, the legal fees will eat up most of what you recover. I don't have that kind of money. Then we need to think about other options. A settlement, for example. We could send a demand letter to Caldwell Logistics, laying out the evidence we have. They might be willing to pay you to go away quietly. Pay me to go away. That's what Diane wanted from the beginning. Look at it differently. You're not going away. You're being compensated for the work they stole and the reputation they damaged. It's not justice, but it's a way forward." I sat there, staring at the window, at the skyline of the city where I had built my career. 8 years of work, 8 years of loyalty, and all I was going to get was a settlement. A payoff to disappear. Let me think about it, I said. Take your time. But don't take too long. Diane is moving fast. She's already filed the termination paperwork. If we don't act quickly, she'll have established a narrative that's hard to overturn. I walked out of the office and sat in my car for a long time. I didn't know what to do. The settlement was the practical option, the safe option. But it felt like giving up. It felt like letting Diane win. My phone buzzed. It was Eleanor. Where are you? She asked. I need you to come home. I'm on my way. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just need to talk to you. It's important. I drove home with a knot in my stomach. Eleanor's voice had been unusually soft, almost hesitant. That wasn't like her. She was always direct, always blunt. The hesitation worried me. When I walked through the front door, she was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea. The children were at school, and Mark was at work. The house was quiet. Sit down, she said. I have something to tell you. I sat across from her. What is it? She took a sip of her tea, then set down the cup. I know you've been going through a hard time. With your job, with Mark's lawsuit, with everything. I know I haven't been easy to live with. Eleanor, it's fine, let me finish. She held up a hand. I came here because I was worried about Mark. But I stayed because I was worried about you. I see how hard you're fighting, and I see how tired you are. I'm managing. You are. That's not what I wanted to say. She reached into her pocket and pulled out an envelope. I've been saving this for a long time. It was meant for Mark's college fund, but he never needed it. I've been holding on to it for emergencies. She slid the envelope across the table. I opened it and found a bank statement. The balance was $30,000. Eleanor, I can't take this. It's not a gift. It's a loan. You can pay me back when you're on your feet. Even as a loan, I can't. This is your retirement money. You've worked your whole life for this. I know what I'm working for. I'm working for my family. And right now, my family needs help. She reached across the table and took my hand. I know I've been critical of you. I know I've been judgmental. But I see what you're doing, Kate. I see how hard you're fighting for Mark and the children. I see how hard you're fighting for yourself. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just take the money. Use it for the lawyer. Use it for the mortgage. Use it for whatever you need. Mark needs to know. He'll feel guilty. Mark will be fine. I'll talk to him. He's my son. He knows I only want what's best for him. She squeezed my hand. And I want what's best for you too. You're part of this family, Kate. Whether you like it or not. I laughed, a wet, choked sound. I'm starting to like it. Good. Because you're stuck with us. I put the envelope in my purse and hugged her. It was a strange hug, stiff and awkward, the kind of hug you give someone you're still learning to trust. But it was real. The next day, I called Patricia Chen and told her I wanted to move forward. Not with a settlement. With a full legal challenge. I had the money for the retainer, thanks to Eleanor. I had the evidence, thanks to Rachel. And I had the determination, thanks to everything I had been through. Patricia filed a complaint with the labor board that afternoon. She also sent a formal demand letter to Caldwell Logistics, laying out the evidence of Diane's misconduct and threatening a lawsuit for wrongful termination, defamation, and breach of contract. The response came within 48 hours. Caldwell Logistics offered a settlement of 6 months severance, plus a neutral reference. It was more than Diane had offered, but it wasn't enough. Patricia countered with 18 months severance, plus a statement from the company acknowledging that my performance had been satisfactory. The negotiations went back and forth for a week. I spent my days at home, helping with the children, trying to keep the house running, trying not to think about the fact that I was unemployed and my husband was being sued and my mother-in-law was paying our bills. It was Eleanor who kept me grounded. She made dinner every night, organized the household, kept the children entertained. She even started to relax, her criticism softening into something more like practical advice. Your husband loves you, she said one evening, as we were washing dishes together. He's made mistakes, but he loves you. I know he does. But sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes it's all you have. She handed me a plate to dry. When Mark's father lost his job, I thought our marriage was over. We argued constantly. We were both so angry and scared. But we stayed together. We found a way through. How did you do it? We stopped trying to save each other and started trying to save ourselves. I got a job. He got a job. We stopped blaming each other and started solving problems together. I thought about that, about how I had been trying to save Mark, trying to fix his problems while my own career was collapsing. I had been so focused on him that I had forgotten to focus on myself. You're right, I said. I need to save myself first. Exactly. You can't help anyone if you're drowning. That night, I sat down with Mark and told him about Eleanor's loan. He was quiet for a long time, his face unreadable. She gave you $30,000. She said it was a loan. She said we can pay her back later. He shook his head. She shouldn't have done that. That's her retirement. I know. But she wanted to help. She wanted to help us. He was quiet again. Then he said, I've been so focused on my own problems that I didn't see how much you were struggling. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. We're both struggling. We just need to keep going. We will. We have to. For the kids. For ourselves too. He reached over and took my hand. I love you, Kate. I know I've been distant and secretive and difficult. But I love you. And I'm going to do better. I believed him. I had to believe him. The next morning, Patricia called with news. Caldwell Logistics was offering a new settlement, 12-month severance, plus a letter of recommendation, plus a confidential agreement that the company would not contest my unemployment claim. It wasn't everything I had asked for, but it was something. It was enough to keep us afloat while I looked for a new job. Take it, Patricia said. We could fight for more, but it would take months, and there's no guarantee we'd win. What about Diane? What about the proprietary information she sent to Summit? That's a separate issue. I've filed a report with the Industry Ethics Board. They'll investigate her conduct independently. You don't have to be part of that fight. I thought about it. I thought about the long months of legal battles, the uncertainty, the cost. And I thought about Eleanor's loan, Mark's lawsuit, the children's future. Take it, I said. I'll accept the settlement. Patricia was satisfied. I wasn't. But I knew it was the right decision. When I hung up the phone, I felt a strange sense of relief. The fight was over. I had lost my job, but I had won a small victory. I had stood up to Diane and come out the other side. I walked into the kitchen and found Eleanor making lunch. She looked up when I entered. Good news, sort of. I got a settlement. 12 months severance. She nodded, a small smile on her face. That's good. That will give you time. Time for what? Time to figure out what you want to do next. You're not just your job, Kate. You're a mother. A wife. A woman with a future. I leaned against the counter, suddenly exhausted. I don't know what I want to do next. That's okay. You don't have to know yet. Just take it one day at a time. I looked at her, this woman who had driven me crazy for months, who had criticized my cooking and my cleaning and my parenting. And I realized that she had been trying to help all along, in her own abrasive, difficult way. Thank you, Eleanor. For everything. You're welcome. Now sit down and eat. You look tired. I sat down at the table, and she put a plate of food in front of me. We ate in comfortable silence, the kind of silence that comes from shared understanding. Later that afternoon, I walked to the park near our house and sat on a bench, watching the children play. I thought about the last few months, about everything that had happened. The betrayal at work, the secrets at home, the slow unraveling of everything I thought I knew. But I also thought about the things that had held me together. Rachel's loyalty. Patricia's guidance. Eleanor's unexpected generosity. Mark's willingness to try. And my own stubborn refusal to give up. I wasn't where I wanted to be. But I was still standing. And that was something. As the sun began to set, I walked home. The house was warm, the children were laughing, and Mark was waiting for me on the front porch. You look better, he said. You look like yourself. I feel like myself. For the first time in months. He put his arm around me, and we walked inside together. There was still a long road ahead. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like we could walk it. The settlement money sat in our bank account like a fragile promise. 12 months of severance, enough to keep us afloat while I figured out what came next. But the money was finite, and the clock was ticking. I had to find work. I had to rebuild. I spent the first week after the settlement updating my resume, reaching out to contacts, applying for jobs. The responses were discouraging. Every application seemed to disappear into a void, and the few interviews I landed went nowhere. I was overqualified for some positions, underqualified for others, and tainted by the vague rumors that Diane had spread through the industry. Mark was trying too. He had taken on extra shifts at work, coming home late and leaving early, barely sleeping. He was still negotiating with Daniel, still trying to find a way to settle the lawsuit without draining our savings. The tension in the house was thick enough to cut with a knife. It was Eleanor who finally broke the silence. You need to stop applying for jobs like everyone else, she said one morning over breakfast. You're not everyone else. You have skills that people need. You just need to find the right people. What am I supposed to do? Walk into offices and ask for work, maybe? Or find a place that's struggling, a place that needs someone who knows what they're doing. You don't have to go back to a company like Caldwell. You could go somewhere smaller. Somewhere that values you. I thought about what she said. I had spent 8 years at a large corporation, climbing the ladder, playing the game. Maybe it was time to try something different. That afternoon, I started researching smaller logistics firms, companies that were growing but didn't have the resources to hire experienced managers. I found one, a company called Atlas Freight Solutions, that had been in business for 5 years and was expanding rapidly. They had a job posting for a senior operations manager. It was a step down from my old position, but it was a step forward. I applied. I waited. And 2 days later, I got a call for an interview. The interview was in a converted warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The offices were modest, the furniture was worn, and the staff looked overworked. But there was a sense of energy in the place, a feeling that something was being built. The hiring manager was a woman named Sandra, about my age, with a no-nonsense attitude that reminded me of Eleanor. She asked me about my experience, my skills, my reasons for leaving Caldwell Logistics. I had a disagreement with my former supervisor, I said. It was a difficult situation. I chose to leave rather than continue in a toxic environment. Sandra studied me for a long moment. I appreciate your honesty. We've had our share of difficult situations here too. We're growing fast, and that means we're making mistakes. We need someone who can help us grow without losing what makes us different. I can do that. She smiled. I think you can. The job pays less than what you're used to. The hours are long. The work is demanding. But if you're willing to take a chance, I think you'd be a good fit. I took the job. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't what I had envisioned for my career. But it was a start. The first few weeks at Atlas Freight were exhausting. I was learning new systems, new processes, new people. I was working late, skipping lunches, coming home too tired to talk. Mark was doing the same. We were two ships passing in the night, both trying to keep the family afloat. Eleanor held everything together. She picked up the children from school, made dinner, managed the household. She even started helping Mark with his lawsuit, reviewing documents and making suggestions. You're not just a mother-in-law, I told her one evening. You're a miracle worker. I'm just an old woman with nothing better to do, she said, but she was smiling. The breakthrough came in the third week. I had been reviewing Atlas's logistics operations, looking for inefficiencies, and I had found a major problem. The company was using an outdated routing system that was costing them thousands of dollars a month in wasted fuel and labor. I wrote a proposal for a new system, a streamlined approach that I had used at Caldwell. It was ambitious, but it was achievable. I presented it to Sandra and the company's founder. We can't afford this, the founder said, looking at the cost projections. You can't afford not to, I said. This system will pay for itself within 6 months. After that, it's pure savings. They looked skeptical, but Sandra nodded. Let's try it. We need to take risks if we want to grow. I implemented the new system over the next 2 months. It was difficult, sometimes frustrating, but it worked. By the end of the second month, the company was already seeing savings. By the end of the third month, I was promoted to Director of Operations. The promotion came with a raise, not as much as I had made at Caldwell, but enough to make a difference. I called Mark with the news. That's amazing, he said. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without your mother. She was the one who pushed me to think differently. She's good at that. Pushing people. She's good at a lot of things. I'm starting to realize that. We were both quiet for a moment. Then Mark said, I have news too. Daniel agreed to a settlement. $50,000, spread over 5 years. It's not everything he wanted, but it's enough to end the lawsuit. That's wonderful. How did you convince him? I stopped fighting him. I apologized. I told him I was sorry for pushing him into the deal, for not being more careful. It wasn't easy, but it worked. I felt a lump in my throat. Mark, that's huge. That's really huge. I know. I'm not good at apologizing. But I'm learning. We were both learning. Learning to trust each other, to lean on each other, to admit when we were wrong. The night after Mark's settlement, we had dinner together as a family. Eleanor made roast chicken, Lily's favorite, and Tom tried to feed his mashed potatoes to the dog. It was loud and chaotic and wonderful. After dinner, Mark and I sat on the back porch, watching the stars. I've been thinking, he said, about the house. Maybe we should sell it. Sell it. We just started to feel stable. I know. But the payments are still too high. Even with your promotion and my settlement, we're stretching ourselves thin. We could move somewhere smaller. Save some money. Start over. I thought about it. He was right. The house was beautiful, but it was also a burden. We had bought it during a time when we thought everything was going to be perfect. But nothing was perfect anymore. And that was okay. Let's do it, I said. Let's sell the house. He looked relieved. I was worried you'd say no. I know how much you love this place. I love you more. I love the kids more. A house is just a building. We put the house on the market the next week. It sold faster than we expected to a young couple who were starting their own family. We packed up our belongings, said goodbye to the neighbors, and moved into a smaller rental on the other side of town. It was a strange feeling, letting go of the life we had built. But it was also freeing. We had less space, less stuff, less pressure. We were lighter. Eleanor moved with us, settling into the guest room with her suitcases and her quiet presence. I had offered to help her find her own place, but she had refused. I like being with my family, she said. And I like being useful. You're more than useful, I said. You're essential. She waved away the compliment, but I could see that it meant something to her. The new job was going well. Atlas Freight was growing, and I was growing with it. Sandra had become a mentor and a friend. The team I was managing respected me. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I had found my place. But the shadows of the past were still there. Diane's lawsuit had been settled, but the damage to my reputation lingered. I still heard whispers, still saw skeptical looks from people who had heard the rumors. I tried not to let it bother me. I told myself that it didn't matter, that I was building something new. But sometimes, late at night, I would lie awake and wonder if I would ever truly escape the betrayal. Arthur called me one evening, out of the blue. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up the phone. Kate. It's Arthur. I know. What do you want? I heard about your new job. I heard you're doing well. I am. Thank you for asking. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I wanted to apologize. For everything. I was a coward. I let Diane use me, and I let her hurt you. I've regretted it every day. Apology accepted. I meant it. I had spent too much time being angry. It was time to let go. There's something else, he said. I've been thinking about leaving Caldwell. The culture there is toxic. Diane has made it worse. Then leave. Find somewhere else. You have skills, Arthur. You can rebuild. Like you did, exactly like I did. He was quiet again. Then he said, thank you. For not hating me. I don't have the energy to hate anyone, Arthur. I just want to move forward. Good. That's good. We ended the call, and I set down the phone. It was strange, talking to him again. Strange and healing. That night, I sat down with Mark and Eleanor and told them about the call. Arthur called, I said. He apologized. Are you okay? Mark asked. I am. I think I needed to hear it. I think I needed to let go of the anger. Eleanor nodded. Anger is a heavy burden. It's good to put it down. It's been a long road, I said. But I think we're finally getting somewhere. Mark reached over and took my hand. We are. Together. I looked at him, at Eleanor, at the small rental we had made into a home. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what I had imagined. But it was ours. Together, I said. I like the sound of that. And for the first time in months, I actually believed it. We had survived the betrayal, the secrets, the losses. We had found a way forward, not by winning, but by refusing to give up. The future was uncertain. There would be more challenges, more struggles, more late nights, and difficult decisions. But I knew now that I could face them. Not alone, but with my family beside me. And that was enough. That was everything. The rental house was on a quiet street lined with old oaks, the kind of neighborhood where people knew each other's names and children played in the front yards until the streetlights came on. It was smaller than our old house, with a kitchen that barely fit 4 people and a living room that doubled as my home office. But it had a backyard with a swing set, and the windows faced east, so the morning sun flooded through every room. I woke up early on a Saturday morning, the kind of quiet morning that felt like a gift. Mark was still asleep, his arm draped across my side. I slipped out of bed and padded to the kitchen, where Eleanor was already making coffee. You're up early, she said. I couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. She handed me a mug. What are you thinking about? Everything. The new job, the house, the kids. Mark's settlement. Your loan. I feel like we're finally moving forward, but I'm scared to relax. Like something else is going to fall apart. She sat down across from me. That's normal. When you've been through a storm, it takes a while to trust the weather. I don't know if I'll ever trust it again. You will. Give it time. She took a sip of her coffee. I've been thinking about going back to work. I nearly choked on my coffee. You work. I'm not that old. 63. I can still contribute. Eleanor, you already contribute. You've been holding this family together for months. I know. But I want to do something for myself. Something that's just mine. I used to be a bookkeeper before I retired. I could do that again. Freelance work, maybe. Help small businesses with their accounts. I stared at her. In all the time I'd known her, I'd never thought about what she did before she became Mark's mother. She had always just been Eleanor, the critic, the judge, the woman who thought I wasn't good enough. What changed, I asked. You've never mentioned this before. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I spent a lot of years being angry. At Mark's father, at the world, at myself. I took it out on everyone around me, especially you. I was so worried about Mark failing that I didn't see how much you were struggling. You were worried about him. I was. But I was also jealous. You had so much energy, so much drive. You reminded me of what I used to be. And I resented you for it. Eleanor, let me finish. I'm telling you this because I'm trying to change. I want to be better. Not just for you and Mark, but for myself. She set down her mug. I want to be someone my grandchildren can be proud of. I reached across the table and took her hand. You already are. She squeezed my hand and let go. I'm going to start looking for clients next week. In the meantime, I'll still help with the kids. I wouldn't want to leave you stranded. You're not leaving me stranded. You're giving me a chance to breathe. She smiled, a real smile, not the tight, forced expression she used to wear. We're going to be okay, Kate. All of us. I believed her. For the first time in a long time, I believed her. The job at Atlas Freight was demanding, but it was also rewarding. Sandra had given me more responsibility, and I was thriving. I had built a team of my own, trained them in the new systems, and watched them grow. The company was expanding, and I was part of that growth. But the old wounds still ached. Every time I heard Diane's name, every time someone mentioned Caldwell Logistics, I felt a pang of bitterness. I had moved on, but the betrayal lingered like a scar. Mark noticed. He noticed everything these days. The secrets were gone, replaced by a new honesty that had transformed our marriage. We talked more, argued less, and laughed more than we had in years. You're thinking about her again, he said one evening, as we sat on the back porch. Who, Diane? You get this look on your face. Like you're remembering something painful. I'm fine. Really. Kate, you don't have to pretend with me. I know what it's like to carry that kind of weight. I leaned against him. I just can't seem to let it go. Every time I think I'm over it, something reminds me. Have you thought about talking to someone, a therapist? Maybe, I don't know. It feels like admitting defeat. It's not defeat. It's healing. He put his arm around me. I went to a few sessions after the lawsuit was settled. It helped. It helped me understand why I kept so many secrets. Did it? Yeah. I was scared. Scared of failing, scared of disappointing you, scared of being the kind of man my father was. Your father, Eleanor, told me about him. About how he lost everything. He never really recovered. He spent the rest of his life feeling like a failure. I didn't want to be like that. So I hid my mistakes. I pretended everything was fine. And I almost lost you. But you didn't. No. Because you fought for us. You fought for me. He kissed my forehead. I'm not going to let you down again. I know you won't. We sat there in the darkness, listening to the crickets, and I felt the weight on my shoulders ease just a little bit more. The next week, I went to see a therapist. It wasn't easy. It felt strange, sitting in a quiet room with a stranger, talking about the things I had buried. But it helped. Slowly, painfully, it helped. I started to understand why Diane's betrayal had hurt so deeply. It wasn't just about the job. It was about trust. I had trusted her, and she had used that trust against me. I had trusted Arthur, and he had let me down. I had trusted Mark, and he had kept secrets. But I had also trusted Eleanor, and she had surprised me. I had trusted Rachel, and she had been loyal. I had trusted myself, and I had found a way forward. The therapy sessions gave me a new perspective. Diane wasn't just a villain. She was a woman who had made terrible choices, who had let ambition twist her into something ugly. I didn't forgive her, not exactly. But I understood her. And understanding was a kind of release. One afternoon, I got a call from Sandra. The company was being acquired by a larger logistics firm, and they wanted to keep me on as a regional director. It was a promotion, with a significant raise and more responsibility. I want you to run the integration, Sandra said. You know the systems better than anyone. I trust you. I don't know what to say. Say yes. This is your moment, Kate. You've earned it. I said yes. I said yes, because I had fought too hard to give up now. That night, I told Mark and Eleanor the news. We celebrated with takeout and a bottle of wine that Eleanor had been saving for a special occasion. To Kate, Mark said, raising his glass. The strongest person I know. To Kate, Eleanor echoed. I raised my glass and looked at them, my family, the people who had held me together when everything else was falling apart. To all of us. We drank, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Joy. The integration project was massive, but it was also exhilarating. I was working with new people, learning new systems, solving new problems. I was using every skill I had learned at Caldwell, but without the toxicity. My team respected me, and I respected them. We were building something together. The old wounds started to fade. They were still there, but they didn't hurt as much. I could think about Diane without feeling the sharp sting of betrayal. I could think about Arthur without feeling the weight of disappointment. I could look at Mark and see the man he had become, not the man he used to be. Eleanor found her own rhythm. She started doing bookkeeping for a few local businesses, working from home in the mornings. It wasn't much, but it was hers. She had her own money, her own schedule, her own identity. She was happier than I had ever seen her. I feel like I've found myself again, she told me one evening. I didn't even know I was lost. You were never lost. You were just waiting. For the right moment. I smiled. We all were. The rental house was starting to feel like home. The kitchen was small, but we made it work. The living room was cluttered with toys and books and the detritus of daily life. The backyard was overgrown, but the children loved it. I looked at my life and saw that it wasn't perfect. It would never be perfect. But it was mine. I had built it, piece by piece, from the rubble of everything that had been destroyed. That night, I lay in bed with Mark, listening to the sound of his breathing. Are you happy? He asked. I am. I really am. Me too. For the first time in a long time. I reached over and took his hand. We did it. We survived. We did more than survive. We built something new. We lay there in the darkness, holding each other, and I felt a sense of peace that I had almost forgotten was possible. The road ahead was uncertain. There would be more challenges, more struggles, more moments when everything felt like it was falling apart. But I knew now that I could face them. Not alone, but with the people I loved. Eleanor was right. We were going to be okay. All of us. The next morning, I woke up early and made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table, looking at the sunlight streaming through the windows. The house was quiet, but it wasn't the quiet of loneliness. It was the quiet of contentment. I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The betrayal, the secrets, the losses. The small victories, the unexpected kindnesses, the moments of grace. I thought about Eleanor, who had gone from critic to ally. About Mark, who had gone from secret keeper to partner. About myself, who had gone from victim to survivor. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that I was ready for it. I was ready for whatever came next. A year had passed since the day I stood in my old kitchen with a smoking pan and a phone full of bad news. The year had been long and hard, but it had also been full of small miracles. I sat at the kitchen table in our rental house, looking at a set of house plans spread out in front of me. It wasn't a big house. It wasn't fancy. But it was ours. Mark came in from the backyard, brushing dirt off his hands. He had been fixing the fence, a task he had been putting off for months. The new house plans look good, he said, leaning over my shoulder. Are we really going to do this? We're really going to do this. I pointed to the layout. 3 bedrooms, a small office, a kitchen that actually has counter space. Nothing we don't need. No pool, no pool. No man cave. No unnecessary anything. Just enough. He kissed the top of my head. I like it. It's simple. Simple is good. Simple is what we need. Eleanor walked into the kitchen, her reading glasses perched on her nose. She had been working on a client's books in her room, but she had heard our voices and come to investigate. Are you looking at house plans? We are. I slid the papers toward her. What do you think? She studied them for a long moment. Then she nodded. It's practical. A little small, but practical. Small is the point. We're done with being stretched thin. She handed the plans back to me. I think it's perfect. When do we break ground? Next month, if everything goes smoothly. The builder says it'll take about 6 months to finish. 6 months. That's not so long. She sat down at the table with us. I've been thinking about something. What's that? I've been thinking about finding my own place. After the house is built, I mean. I don't want to intrude on your new space. I felt a pang of something, loss, maybe, or surprise. Eleanor, you're not intruding. You're part of this family. I know. But I've been living with you for over a year. I think it's time I had my own space again. Not far. Maybe just down the street. Somewhere I can still see the kids, but where I can have my own life. Mark looked at me, then at his mother. Are you sure? I'm sure. I'm not as young as I used to be. I need my own quiet, my own routine. And you two need your privacy. She reached across the table and took my hand. You've done more for me than I ever expected, Kate. You've shown me what it means to be a family. I felt tears prick at my eyes. You've shown me the same thing. We sat there, the 3 of us, holding hands across the table. It wasn't a dramatic moment. It was quiet and simple and real. Later that week, I got an unexpected call. It was Arthur. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Kate, I need to talk to you. What about I left Caldwell? I quit last week. I was surprised. You left. I thought you were staying. I couldn't stay. The place was killing me. Diane made my life miserable after you left. She blamed me for the settlement, for everything. I couldn't take it anymore. What are you going to do now? I don't know. I've been looking for work, but it's hard. The industry is small, and Diane has been spreading rumors. He paused. I know I don't have any right to ask this, but I heard you're doing well at Atlas Freight. I was wondering if you had any openings. Anything at all. I leaned back in my chair. A year ago, I would have felt a surge of anger at his request. A year ago, I would have told him he deserved whatever he got. But a year had passed, and I had changed. Arthur, I can't promise anything. But I'll talk to Sandra. See if there's a position for someone with your experience. Kate, thank you. I don't deserve this. Maybe not. But I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. I'm done holding grudges. I'm done being angry. Life is too short. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You're a good person, Kate. Better than I ever was. I'm just a person who's learned to move on. I talked to Sandra the next day. She was skeptical at first, but I vouched for Arthur's skills. She agreed to give him a chance, a probationary position in a different department. It was more than he deserved, but it was what I could offer. Arthur started at Atlas Freight 2 weeks later. He was nervous, quiet, eager to prove himself. He kept his head down and did his work. He didn't try to be friends with me, and I didn't try to be friends with him. But we worked together, and that was enough. Mark's consulting business was growing. He had started small, helping local businesses with their operations, but word had spread. He was working from home now, in the spare bedroom that doubled as his office. He was happier than I had ever seen him. I love being my own boss, he told me one evening. I love being able to help people without all the corporate nonsense. You're good at it. You always were. I just needed to find the right path. Same as you. We were both finding our way, slowly and imperfectly. But we were finding it. The children were thriving. Lily had made new friends at her new school, and her reading had improved dramatically. Tom was talking now in short sentences that made everyone laugh. They had adapted to the changes better than I had expected. Eleanor found an apartment a few blocks away, a small one-bedroom with a balcony that overlooked the park. She moved out the week after we signed the papers for the new house. I'll still be around, she said, as we helped her unpack. You won't get rid of me that easily. Good, I said. We don't want to get rid of you. She hugged me, a long, tight hug that said more than words ever could. Thank you for giving me a second chance, Kate. For letting me be part of your family. Thank you for giving me one too. The new house was built over the next 6 months. We visited every weekend, watching the foundation go in, the walls go up, the roof go on. It was a slow process, but it was ours. When the house was finally finished, we moved in on a Saturday morning. The boxes were everywhere, the furniture was in the wrong places, and the children were running around like wild things. But it was perfect. Eleanor came over that afternoon, bringing a casserole and a bottle of wine. Congratulations, she said, looking around the living room. It's beautiful. It's small, I said. It's perfect. She set down her dishes and pulled out a gift-wrapped box. This is for you. I opened the box. Inside was a framed photograph of our family, taken at Lily's birthday party a few months ago. We were all laughing, even Eleanor, her face relaxed and happy. I wanted you to have something to remember this year, she said. The year we became a real family. I hugged her, and this time it was easy. Natural. Like we had been doing it for years. That night, after the children were in bed and the boxes were mostly unpacked, Mark and I sat on the back porch of our new house. The stars were out and the air was cool and quiet. Oh, we did it, he said. We actually did it. We did. It wasn't easy. Nothing worth doing ever is. He reached over and took my hand. I'm proud of us, Kate. Of everything we went through. Of everything we built. Me too. I leaned against him. I used to think that success meant having the big house and the fancy job and the perfect life. But now I think it's something else. What is it? Success is being okay. Being content. Knowing that you have people who love you and a life that's yours. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I think that's the most important thing anyone has ever said to me. I laughed, a soft, happy laugh. It took me a long time to figure it out. Me too. But we got there. We got there. We sat there in the darkness, holding hands, and I felt a sense of peace that I had almost forgotten was possible. The road ahead was uncertain. There would be more challenges, more struggles, more moments when everything felt like it was falling apart. But I knew now that I could face them. The next morning, I woke up early and made coffee. I walked through the new house, looking at the empty rooms, the unpacked boxes, the sunlight streaming through the windows. It was a blank canvas, waiting for us to fill it with our lives. I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The betrayal, the secrets, the losses. The small victories, the unexpected kindnesses, the moments of grace. I thought about Eleanor, who had gone from critic to ally. About Mark, who had gone from secret keeper to partner. About myself, who had gone from victim to survivor. The future was unknown, but I wasn't afraid of it anymore. I had learned that fear was just a feeling, and feelings could be managed. I had learned that trust was a choice, and I could choose to trust again. I had learned that family wasn't about blood or expectations. It was about showing up, even when it was hard. I walked back to the kitchen and found Mark making breakfast. Eleanor was there too, having let herself in with the spare key I had given her. The children were at the table, arguing about something trivial. Good morning, I said. Good morning. They all replied. I sat down at the table and poured myself a cup of coffee. It was a small moment, an ordinary moment. But it was everything. The story didn't end here. Life didn't end. There would be more challenges, more struggles, more moments of doubt. But I had learned something important. I was strong enough to face them. I had people who loved me, and I loved them back. And that was enough. That was everything. The day we signed the final papers for the new house, the sky was overcast and the air smelled like rain. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon, and the children were at school. Mark and I sat across from each other at the lawyer's table, signing our names on page after page. When we finished, we walked out into the drizzle and stood on the sidewalk, looking at the small building that was now ours. It's ours, Mark said. Really, truly ours. No mortgage. No debt. Just ours. He put his arm around me, and we stood there for a long time, watching the rain wash over the new roof and the fresh paint. It wasn't a mansion. It was a modest house on a quiet street, with a small yard and a porch swing that I had picked out myself. But it was enough. Eleanor came by that evening, bringing a pot of soup and a warm loaf of bread. She set them on the kitchen counter and looked around, her eyes soft. It's perfect, she said. It's exactly what you needed. What we needed was each other, I said. The house is just a bonus. She smiled, a tired, genuine smile. I'm proud of you, Kate. Of both of you. Mark hugged his mother, a long, grateful embrace. We couldn't have done it without you. I mean that. You could have. You just would have taken longer. She pulled back and wiped her eyes. Now let's eat. I'm starving. We sat at the kitchen table, the three of us, eating soup and bread and talking about nothing important. The children came home, and Lily showed us a drawing she had made of the new house. Tom tried to feed his bread to the dog. It was loud and messy and chaotic, and I loved every second of it. Later that night, after Mark and the children were asleep, I stood on the back porch and looked out at the neighborhood. The stars were starting to come out, and the air was cool and clean. I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The betrayal at work, the secrets at home, the long, hard road to healing. I thought about the people who had helped me along the way. Rachel, who had risked her job to help me. Patricia, who had fought for me. Eleanor, who had surprised me with her strength and her kindness. I thought about Mark, who had learned to be honest, and about myself, who had learned to trust again. The future was uncertain, but I wasn't afraid. I had everything I needed. A family that loved me. A home that was mine. A life that was real. I walked back inside, closed the door, and locked it. The house was quiet, except for the soft sound of Mark's breathing from the bedroom. I climbed into bed beside him and closed my eyes. I was home.